not intending to go live. It is after International Whiskey Day, and if anyone comes in, I'll just quickly say hi. But I'm trying out. I think this has a mic in it, but I don't know if my laptop picks that up. That kind of thing. Seems like lives are what we all do now, so I think I need to get better at it. Thanks. Okay. Hey, Whiskey Throttle, I'm just testing out my live stream. Oh no, now there's some people here. Well, maybe I'll stay on for a few minutes because Throttle came on, live or not, and George Kaplan, Whiskey Sneerson. Hey, great guys. Actually, I have some thoughts about International Whiskey Day. Yeah, got to start somewhere for sure. But I think I should probably start with a theme or an idea and set it up so that you guys know what you're getting into, as opposed to just hi. Okay, maybe I'll stay on for a few minutes. One thought I had about International Whiskey Day, I dropped into all the hosts, although Throttle, I didn't get into yours, which was yeah, yeah, thoughts. It was just that I watched, all the great hosts. It was good stuff. And then I also watched, I think Bourbon Night. Those two guys, or a guy and a lady, they got on, and I noticed that a lot of people had some pretty. Oh, hi! Wow, lots of people getting on. Totally unintended. Had some nice Canadians, but a lot of them had some pretty low grade Canadian whiskey, and I wanted to know, is it because it's tough to get better Canadian whiskey outside of Canada, or if that's just the exposure? It seemed like lots of people had some pretty nice bourbon, and everyone who had some pretty nice Scotch, but some of the Canadian stuff seemed like that it wasn't as great. World Whiskey Day, not International Whiskey Day. Is that what you're saying, Throttle? Sorry, did I get it wrong? Roy started, yes. Whiskey Sneerson, you're totally right. Roy did start with Canadian Club, the 40-year-old, and that is a very fine Canadian whiskey, and I can't argue with that. So you're totally right. But there was something in the Bourbon Night. They had a Canadian whiskey that I honestly hadn't even heard of. Yeah, sure. Sure. How do I do that? See, that's the thing. I actually just started this to try out live because I see that so many people are doing that. But now, Throttle, I'm looking for how to invite you. I can add as moderator, report, I can put you in a timeout. That's cool. You got to guide me. You got to, how do I, honestly, I'd gladly invite you on, Throttle. I'm looking around. I can see in the chat, I've got a few things here. I'm going to add you as a moderator. Maybe that'll work. Oh, George, you've got JP Weiser's Last Barrels. I've heard that's okay. I haven't had JP Weiser Last Barrel, although I think that started the series of some of the ones that I have had. Like the 150, I think could be considered in that series. They put it out last year for the 150, and I thought that was pretty good. I loved Union 52. Union 52 was a BC only release, and I think it was like a 16, 17-year-old, kind of their not their base, but their nice average whiskey blend, and then they added a little bit of a really old Scotch they had kicking around. But the Last Barrels itself I haven't had, so I can't speak to that. Oh, sorry, Throttle. How do I invite you in here? Actually, no, I just went into YouTube and then I just hit go live. And so that's why I got the chat going on the side. But did I have to start it another way? Start as a Google Hangout? Oh, and yeah, whiskey. Sorry, is that Sneerson? Hi. Yeah, I noticed that Whiskey Dick really reacted to Copper Pot. It is very sweet whiskey. I'll hand you that. But I had it in a flight with my cousin in the Okanagan, and at first I was commiserating. I was like, oh yeah, it's not that very good. But then I thought, well, actually, I kind of liked it with my cousin, so it wasn't too bad. I just thought that it was interesting on World Whiskey Day. Um, that a lot of the stuff that I saw was a little bit lower shelf, but that's okay. I mean, we have lower shelf, and there's lower shelf bourbon, and there's lower shelf Scotch too, and that's totally okay. And actually, if you like that stuff, good for you. I think it's great. It's affordable, and go for it. But right. Well, actually, I find the chat one of the most interesting part of a live stream. And as I said to those that jumped in earlier, and I'm kind of keeping this on really because it's kind of fun to connect with a few of you just in the chat. I started this to explore live. I saw many great hosts yesterday and guests, and I thought it was excellent that they could bring people on, which I'm struggling with. I'm trying to get Throttle on here so he can talk a bit about World Whiskey Day. And I'm failing at that. But this was really just meant to be an exploration. So I apologize if you're coming in for some heavy content. I don't have that. I'm just trying it out. Talk whiskey, John. Okay. Well, I could preview what's coming up in my channel, although I don't really have it laid out the way a lot of people do. A lot of people really do an excellent job, surveying the community or taking suggestions, and then kind of lining up their month. For me, I kind of go with my mood. When it gets cold and snarly in the fall, I tend to go back into some peated Scotch and then ride that through. And then usually when it turns nice like this, I get into some bourbons. I don't know why. It's nice outside. When it gets warm, I tend to get bourbons. I just recently went through some Canadians. If you saw, I did the Lot 40 Confederation Oak, not Lot 40, sorry. Sorry. And if anyone just heard that, they're like, what is he saying? I mean, the 40 Creek Confederation Oak. Then I looked at the, it was a special release for BC, a second release from Highwood Distilleries. It was like a 17-year-old with a hit of a 30-year-old in there. And then I looked at Alberta Distillers, Alberta Premium, just a rye, a lower end rye, but often gets very high marks. Now I wanted to head into some American whiskey. It's not bourbon, but I'm sure you guys have heard of that Wyoming whiskey. They've been making a lot of releases, a lot of store releases. And I was down at Kensington Wine Market in Calgary, and I picked up a bottle that they had selected for their a bottling. I believe they selected the cask for their place. I'm not sure, but anyways, it says an exclusive bottling for Kensington. But I see it now in all the stores, and that looks like a really nice whiskey. And I thought that might kind of launch me into. I've got a few American whiskeys or bourbons, and I thought maybe that's what I'll do on the show next little while. Yeah, Throttle. I will say I have a weakness for peated Scotch, and I actually could pretty much drink it at any time. I was just saying my emotional reaction when it gets cold. I think maybe some of that kind of fiery, ashy stuff takes me into that. Well, George, what frustrates you about the Compass Box bottle by Kensington? Like I actually have a number of Compass Box bottles that I have yet to open up. Actually, I'm not even sure why I have my headphones on. From the mic, because right now I don't even have another guest, so I'm not hearing anything. It's just me talking to a. Oh yes, actually, George, that happens so often, right? You get on the whiskey tubes or fabric or whatever you want to call us, and someone's like talking about, oh, it's this great Scotch, or you got to try this whiskey, and you have no way of getting it. That happens to me a lot. Like I still have a soft spot for Canadian whiskey, even though um, I know the heights that Scotch can take us, and even some of those really fine bourbons. But I have a soft spot for trying to get unique Canadians and try to grow that and interest in that. And it's often like, well, that's only an Ontario release. And that's like Dissertation. That's a great Wiser product. It's only in Ontario. And then Union 52 blew my mind away. It's only in BC. And it seems like all the special releases are not available across the country, and that kills me. Cognac. Oh, Richard Blanc. Hey, welcome here. Um, I could not speak to a good cognac aside from being over at a friend's place who might have poured something for me. It is not something I've really gone into, so I have no excellent thoughts to share about that. But hello, welcome to a quick live. And since you just joined, really, I'm just exploring how to live, and now I'm worried about having to exit gracefully without interrupting the flow, because it's so kind of you guys just to drop in and say hi. Beaumont 12, excellent. Oh, Throttle, you don't like Kensington Wine Market? Oh, what? I mean, without getting into anything that I shouldn't, Throttle, like, why is that? Now, again, I only know them as I live up here, St. Albert, and I often drive through Calgary to meetings, maybe somewhere else, and I've been able to drop in, and they've been really quite free with pouring samples of stuff, and I appreciate that. And um, so that's my limited reaction. I don't know them as people. They've been friendly to me though. Oh, price. Yeah, I although I recently got I happened to go through there and they had a really good sale, and I think maybe that helped me appreciate it. And as I said, they poured anything that interested me, and I appreciated that. Not just like one sample. I'm quite sure we went through about 3 or 4, and they were still like, "Yeah, you want to try that out, or you want to try a bit of that?" And so I appreciated that. Yeah. Um, Whiskey prices. Obviously, they're different the world over, and I think in most places, most people can complain about them, and certainly in Canada. Although I am fortunate enough to be in Alberta, if you're going to be picking up whiskey in Canada, Alberta seems to be just from what I see of other tubers, and I've been around a little bit, and certainly the tax structure is better. Um, but yeah, in general, prices up here are crazy. Um, Lot 40 cask strength. Oh, and isn't that a great whiskey if you've had it? I don't know. You were saying you need it in the US. Richard, I don't know if that means you've had some and you want to pick up another bottle or someone sent you a sample. But I had a great story. Like it's great. It's great whiskey. It's great rye if you like it. Um, but I happened to go into a store and they were just putting it on the shelves and they didn't have a price. I said, "Oh, hey, I've been waiting for that. This is great," and I brought it to the front and they said, "Well, we can't find how much it is." And I said, "Well, whatever, look it up." And so they just found the regular lot 40, and they graciously did two things. One, they said, "Well, you can have it for, I think it was $40 at the time, so that's $40 Canadian. That's an amazing deal." And then I said, "Oh, okay. Well, are you sure?" Like I said, "I'm quite sure it's worth more than that." Like I was trying to be nice. I didn't want to, but they were like, "Oh no, that's fine. You can have it for $40." So I said, "Okay." So I went back and I picked up two more. So if you buy three, you get an extra 10% off in the store I was at. So I ended up getting it for whatever that 10, 30, $36 or whatever per bottle, which is a real steal for what's a great whiskey. So I'm glad I got a couple of bottles knocking around. Yeah, George, it was a crazy deal. Really good. Well, yeah. Well, and I wish all of us had more of those stories, right? Where you go in, the proprietor is like, "Well, yeah, this Scotch bottle hasn't sold for a while. Why don't you take it home?" There's a store I've been watching. He's got a bottle of Black Art 4.1. I think that's, what was that, a 23-year-old? Anyways, and he's had it on the shelf, and it's fluctuating around the $200 mark, and that's a maybe around $20 off. It's got a little sticker, $20 off, and it's just sitting there getting dust, right? It's aging and aging, and I talking to the guy nicely, whatever. I'm just waiting for him to come in. I'm waiting for me to come in one day, and he's like, you've been thinking about that bottle, John. $150, it'd be worth your while. Not that I'm trying to haggle, and it's worth the money, and I want small proprietors to make every dollar they make. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always looking for a decent deal. Any of you guys have a nice mix that you use? I almost always drink my whiskey straight, although I will say on a hot day like this in the afternoon, I just did some cleaning or whatever, so I was just sitting down and relax. I know it's sacrilege for many of you, but I will put an ice cube in it. And the glass I tend to drink in, this is used to be a Nutella glass. I've got a bunch of them. We had some Nutella as a family, and I kept these glasses. I'm like, this is a nice whiskey glass. So I'm not always drinking Glencairn, and sometimes I have ice in here. But this is, vermouth and a rye with a couple of cherries in it. It's my favorite, just easy, simple, cold mix when I'm not just trying to drink something straight. Do any of you guys drink cocktails, or you guys are all just, no, it's got to be just the way it comes in the bottle, or maybe a bit of water? What do you guys think? Throttle, I'd love to. I really am just playing around, but I'm probably around for the next, oh boy, what's the time? It's my sister's 51st, not 50th. Nope. Actually, guys, I need to go because I'm in charge of the cake. I'm not going to make it. I got to go buy the cake. And then I'm meeting up with her in about an hour on the south side. So I probably should wrap it up. But you guys were way too nice just coming on and chatting for a moment. It was not, I did not intend to mislead you that this was going to be a fantastic, but this was exactly what it looked like, sitting out on the deck. And I'm just trying to get the live in. And one thing I learned, Throttle, is that I should start it in Hangouts, is what you're saying, so that I can more easily invite people to co-host. Because I would have loved to have done that. I would have loved to switch this over, and if anyone else wanted to jam on that had a camera or whatnot, but I can't see. I'm just in my browser. I just hit go live, and it worked, which is great. I think you can hear me. But other than that, yeah. Thanks, Richard. You're very kind. I hope that my channel is always. Every channel has a feel or a direction, and for me, I got online to just share my thoughts of whiskeys that I was enjoying, because especially the last couple of years, I've really been thankful for people who've gifted me a bottle or had me over and said, hey, have you tried this or tried that, and developed a broader appreciation for whiskey. I kind of started in Scotch, and now all over the place, and so I hope my channel is fairly relaxed anyways. I certainly don't have any accreditation in whiskey. I don't have a pedigree of excellent journalism or tasting skills. Just hopefully an honest fellow who will share what I think about a bottle, and maybe that'll help someone when they're looking at buying it, or maybe it's just enjoyable to watch. But thanks, that's a very nice comment. Oh, hi, Jason. I didn't see when you guys joined. Sorry, I wasn't watching the whatever makes you happy. Thanks. Yeah, and from Manitoba. Awesome. Starbucks coffee with bottom shelf Canadian whiskey. There you go. A cigar. Ooh, that would be nice. Oh, Jets just went down? That's tough. All right. Well, hey, guys. Thanks again, Whiskey Snelson, saying you like my reviews. I appreciate that. And Carl Van Wellingham. I got that right. Thanks for saying watch out for more live streams. Yeah. Although when I do more live streams, I will intend to give you a little heads up at least, so that you know what I might be drinking or something like that. But actually, this was quite a lot of fun. So I appreciate everyone who's dropped in. It was totally impromptu. It really was. After watching so many live streams yesterday at World Whiskey Day, And I had that itch. Like if I had set this up, it would have been to say that I think there's nothing wrong with drinking inexpensive whiskey of any kind. If it's your fancy and you like it, go for it. But I just saw many whiskey tubers, both in that main stream that Roy set up for us. I know we started with CC40, beautiful stuff. But I kind of hopped around it and saw a few others that were drinking. And often when they went to Canada, it just seemed like, oh, or really like you don't even have to pay a lot. Like just lot 40, the regular, not the cask strength. That's a great rye, or I even like, and it's a little boozy, so maybe you wouldn't. But in terms of layers and flavors, just Gooderham and Worts, just the regular stuff, I can still get that for $35. That's pretty cheap. And actually, there's a lot of flavors, a lot of stuff going on there. If you're going to get into 40 Creek, John Hall stuff, I think the Heritage bottle this year is supposed to be good. But there's some other stuff beyond Copperpot that I think you could get into. And if you're looking at the big brands like Crown Royal, I don't even mind a Northern Harvest. Like I know it got way overblown. It totally did, but it's not bad, and it's got to be available. So I just think that there are bigger, better big picks that you should be able to find. But if you're looking for unique stuff, there's some crazy good stuff. Some stuff out of Glen Breton, and then Lone and McKinnon. They're doing some stuff too. How did I not start with Two Brewers? The guys up in Yukon. They started with beer. They're killing the whiskey stuff. So I just think that there are better bottles out there that you could chase after for good Canadian whiskey. Anyways, cheers from LA. Thanks, Richard. Wow. I'd love to be coming down in LA and that's cool. Wow. Sorry. Oh yeah, no, Throttle, please go live. Absolutely, that's good. In fact, I was I was actually on my way to saying goodbye to everybody. And so if you're on here and you're looking to carry on a good conversation with Whiskey, the Whiskey Throttle said he's going to go on live. So hop over to his channel. He always has great insight and lots of thoughts to share. So I'm going to sign off, you guys. Thanks so much for dropping into this impromptu live stream, and all the best. Cheers. Have a great Sunday. Hop over to Throttle.